All right, so this is a truck stop in Portland called Jubitz. Jubitz Truck Stop. What's their slogan? The classiest truck stop in the world. All right, that's fine. I've got no argument against that really. But now my biggest argument with this place is their bloody parking. Now, let's take a look at their parking. Now, you may look at that and not really see a problem. Now, my problem is that they're all angle back, and that's fine. I think angle backing can be a good thing, but they're pointing the wrong direction. Every single space is a blind side. It's just, a lot of these you can do a straight back. You have the room, so you'd pull over here and just back up. But to a lot of people, they just look at it as a blind side, and that's just annoying as hell. Now, personally, I think the safest thing to do would be drive up here and just drive into the space. But a lot of people frown on that. I don't know why they frown on it. Because it's just when you're backing out, all you have to do is just basically do a sight side out of there. So you would sight side in. Well, sight side meaning you go to the left and you can see. But a lot of people frown on driving in, and maybe that's what they were thinking when they were making these spaces. Everybody would drive in, but most people back into spaces, as you can see. Did anybody actually drive into the space? No. So yeah, I just think it's poorly designed, but I don't know. That's just me. I backed up in. I worked around this truck stop for over a decade, more like a decade and a half, and so I've practiced many times going into these spaces, but yeah. So I figured I go ahead and do a bit of a demonstration on backing here at Jubitz. All right, that's that. Let's go ahead and, well, get to the tutorial. So at Jubitz, you have two options. You can either drive into a space head on, or you can do a blind side. Well, yeah, definitely a blind side in angle back. Now, before we do the angle back, right? I'm just going to drive into this space. There's an empty space right here, and this is just basically how easy it is. All right. I personally find it safer. All right. Again, you're going to hear this from a lot of truck drivers. Never ever drive into a space. Well, I think it's a different story though if it's an angle. The reason being is that it's first of all, it's nice and quiet. All right. And maybe you're lucky and there's no space, and the guy in front of you is gone, so you can just drive out of that space. But when you're backing out of it, again, get out and look, make sure there's nobody coming, honk your horn, do whatever you have to do. I find it no more dangerous than actually backing into a space. But you start backing, turn the steering wheel just slightly. All right. Pay attention to everything over here on the right. Okay. Let's go ahead and then straighten up the steers, or straighten everything up. Because basically once the hood gets past this hood, you can, or basically right here. Actually, sorry, or I'm wrong. Sorry, wrong with that one. Right here is when you can start jackknifing even more. Okay, now the front of the turret is going to go to the right, so let's start rolling first. Start turning to the right, and you can just get your steers nice and straight, and you don't have to do anything, and you're out of the space. If you want to, you can start chasing it now, and there we go. And then you can just drive off and leave without hitting anything. Did you see how, like, there was nothing to really to mess up. You just got to be careful how you pull out of it. All right. So that's that. Actually, I do believe all you have to do is a straight back. Basically just do a simple straight back, and you don't even have to start turning until you're completely out of it. And yeah, no, I have painted these lines according to exactly Jubitz and what they're and how they have painted them. So you can pretty much just do a straight back out of there, and just keep backing up until you're right before you would hit something, and then drive off. That's actually simpler than the first method that I did. Anyway, so that just makes things a little easier. All right, so we have located our space, and one thing about blindside angle backs is that basically once you get to here, you can't look down this spot here. Even when you get to here, you still can't look. You gotta, like, make sure there's no smaller truck inside here. Make sure there's no pole. Sometimes there might be a reason why this is empty. So it's a lot different if you were angle backing to the left side, because you can actually look down the spot. So get out just to check before you actually start backing up. All right, ask yourself, why is this space empty at all? Anyway, okay. When the very crucial part of this back is the setup. All right, there's a few ways to do this. All right, I'll go over them all. Is staying nice and close. All right. Now, once the axles get roughly to this area, we can turn to the left. Okay. Let's go ahead and go, I don't know, roughly around now. All right. And then I'm cranking it hard. Now I have lost everything over here. All right. So basically anything from this green line over here I have lost. All right. And so let's go ahead and straighten up. So hard right to straighten up in the shortest distance. Now, one of the goals that we have about this particular setup, so anyway, first of all, we got to make sure that we can see past this guy. We're definitely going to be pointing towards this guy regardless of what we do, and how much room we have over here. All right, so I'm going to get a straight back going for now, and there we go. And we could roughly start turning. We are like a foot away from this guy, so yeah, let's go ahead and just start turning now. We are going to turn hard, but we're not going to turn hard for too long. Okay. So I think that roughly this is all we need. All right, so I'm going to at least point the steers straight here. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Okay, and now if you get a little nervous, this is a good time to just step out of your truck, stand over here, take a peek. The fact that our trailer's pointing towards this truck right here means that by the time, if we do start straightening up, it'll definitely not hit. Okay, so let's just back up for a little bit longer. All right, let's start chasing it. And worst case scenario, we as you can probably see in this mirror here that we are pointing towards this truck. That is absolutely fine. Let's go ahead and just do a little pull forward to the left. And now we can see in both mirrors. And now we can just do a straight back. All right. So again, the setup is so crucial. You got to make sure you do not turn too soon. Otherwise, if you do turn too soon, you'll have to jackknife a lot harder, and then your truck will end up over here. All right. Let's go ahead and back it in. All right. So another setup, there's a few of them. A lot of times my goal is to set up, get a straight back get my setup into more of a straight back. Basically, I'm going to turn when my axles get. Oh, it's kind of tough because it's very hard to judge when you're sitting in the cab because the depth perception is not always the best. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and slow down. There we go. Roughly around that speed is fine. Whoopsie daisy. Let's go now. Hard left. So right now I am aiming towards this area. So I'm just going to keep turning as much as I can. And then we're going to go off to the right. As much as I can. Of course, I got to make sure I miss this guy. I'm going to hug him. And straighten up in the shortest distance. Now I'm much happier with this setup. All right. Because I can see in both mirrors. I'm not pointing to this guy as much. All right, so let's get my steers straight. I think we're at an angle already, so what we could do, even though we only have a foot left, we can go a little bit more to the right. All right, because that actually starts our jackknife off before we're even in reverse. So I'm going to go ahead and just put my steers straight, because again, if your steers are straight, your truck's not going to do anything but drive in a straight line. All right, and we can probably just leave it the way it is, actually. Everything looks good, looking good. I'm very happy with it. I'm still not doing anything. Nearly parallel, so I'm going to go ahead and chase it. Not parallel yet, so let's go back to that. Again, balancing, straight back. So now that particular setup is a little more accurate. You just got to be, there's not a lot of room for fault in that setup. Anyway, all right, that's angle backing at Jubitz Truck Stop in Portland, Oregon.